Let us discuss boron family. In the boron family, we are seeing extraction of aluminum. In the extraction of aluminum, we are discussing about Hall-Héroult process. In the Hall-Héroult process is the electrolysis. In that electrolyte is Al2O3. That melting point and conductivity is increased by adding fluorspar and cryolite. Now we will see what are the electrolytic process takes place. That we will see. We are taking cryolite. That cryolite is Na3Al(F6). Cryolite formula Na3Al(F6). This cryolite is added into molten Al2O3 in order to raise the conductivity of Al2O3. It is this is nothing but two salts. One is NaF, another one is AlF3. This AlF3 undergoes ionization to give aluminum ion and F minus ion. This F minus ion goes to anode. This F minus ion goes to anode. Anode is carbon. Anode is carbon in this electrolytic process. Anode is what means carbon. This F minus goes to anode and loses electron and becomes fluorine atom. Fluorine atom combines with another fluorine atom and becomes fluorine gas. Fluorine gas. So fluorine gas is liberated at anode. So at anode, fluorine gas is liberated, we can say. Then at cathode, Al3 plus goes. Al3 plus goes to the cathode, takes 3 electrons and becomes what in the sense aluminum. Now, for this electrolytic process, we are taking a ion tank. We are taking. For this electrolytic process, we are taking like this ion tank. Inside this ion tank, here at the bottom, it is coated with carbon. This is coated with what means carbon. This is acting as cathode. Then carbon rods are placed like this. These carbon rods act as anode. Carbon rods act as anode. Here we are taking molten Al2O3 which act as electrolyte. Molten Al2O3 which act as electrolyte. To raise this melting point, to raise this conductivity, CaF2 fluorspar is added and cryolite Na3Al(F6) is added. This cryolite is nothing but two simple salts NaF and AlF3. This AlF3 ionizes to give aluminum ion and F minus ion. F minus goes to anode, this anode. F minus going to this anode and becoming what in the sense F2. So at this anode, what is liberated in the sense F2 is liberated. This F2 react with this Al2O3. That F2 react with Al2O3 to give what in the sense this F undergoes reduction and becomes F minus. F minus takes aluminum ion and becomes AlF3. This oxygen undergoes oxidation and becomes oxygen gas. So oxygen gas is liberated. Oxygen gas is liberated now. Here temperature is high because it is in molten state. At higher temperature, this oxygen gas is liberated at this anode because at this anode fluorine is liberated. This fluorine becomes oxygen. That oxygen burning with this carbon. Therefore, this carbon, that means this anodic carbon, anodic carbon burning with oxygen and becomes carbon monoxide or carbon dioxide. Therefore, the size of this carbon rod gets reduced. Size of this carbon rod gets reduced. This carbon rod dissolves. This carbon rod dissolves in the sense after some time we have to replace the carbon rods. We have to replace this anode. Then At this cathode, what is obtained? At this cathode, what is obtained means aluminum is produced. The produced aluminum is in molten state. At this cathode, aluminum is produced. That is in what state means molten state. Now we will collect that molten aluminum here. We can collect molten aluminum at this place. Now, for what sake we have added cryolite and fluorspar? Because Al2O3 is bad conductor. To convert this into good conductor only, we have added this cryolite and fluorspar. How cryolite converted this bad conductor into good conductor, that we will see. Now, Al2O3 is bad conductor. This fluorine is highly reactive. We cannot store fluorine in the ordinary vessel. Fluorine gas we cannot store in the ordinary vessel. In the glass bottle we cannot store, in the vessels we cannot store. Fluorine we can store in the specified vessel. So fluorine, why? Because fluorine is highly reactive. Since it is highly reactive, it is converting this Al2O3 into AlF3, which is good conductor. So fluorine converts a bad conductor into good conductor. This fluorine from where? This fluorine from F minus from AlF3, AlF3 from cryolite. So cryolite is converting this bad conductor into good conductor. Therefore, it raises the conductivity. We can say even CaF2 also can raise the conductivity. Okay, this process is called a electrolytic process. The process name is called a All-Heroult process. All-Heroult process. This process is used for converting Al2O3 into Al. Okay, so this Al2O3 we are converting into Al. We are getting molten aluminum here. So this molten aluminum is called a crude aluminum. Crude aluminum we can say. Crude aluminum means what? It is having impurities. This is metal only. Aluminum metal we got from the ore bauxite. But it is crude aluminum. That means it is having impurities. So how to purify this? It is crude aluminum. How to purify this? To purify this, we are going for purification method or refining method. That is also electrolysis. That method name is called Opes method. That is called Opes method. In the Opes method, we are taking a iron tank. We are taking iron tank. Like this iron tank we are taking. Then in this place, at the bottom of the iron tank, inside bottom of the iron tank, what is coated? In the sense carbon is coated. It is what? In the sense carbon. Carbon is coated. This we are connecting to positive charge. This is what means anode. This anode. Next, we will take the crude metal, crude aluminum, molten impure aluminum here. So here what we are taking in the sense molten impure aluminum. Molten impure aluminum which we got in the previous process, All-Heroult process. Crude aluminum. That crude aluminum contains impurities that we are taking in the molten state here. To take this one here, we are keeping one funnel arrangement. One funnel arrangement. Molten impure aluminum is poured into this, that will come here. Next, we have to take a electrolyte. We have to take now. What is the electrolyte? Electrolyte we are taking here. This electrolyte is molten. This electrolyte we are taking in the molten state. This electrolyte contains what? One is NaF, then BaF2, then AlF3. AlF3. This mixture is saturated with Al2O3. saturated with the Al2O3. This molten mixture we have taken here. Next, here we are taking molten pure aluminum. We are taking molten pure aluminum we have taken here. Now this is all three are molten state. It is bottom layer. This carbon anode is solid. This is molten. This is molten. This is molten. These three are three layers. It is bottom layer. It is middle layer. It is top layer. Due to difference in densities, the layers like this. It is bottom layer. It is middle layer. It is top layer. Like this it is there. Because of difference in density, they are present like this. Okay. Next, we'll keep carbon rods in molten pure aluminum. Carbon rods we are keeping in molten pure aluminum. This carbon rods act as cathode. This carbon rods act as cathode. Okay. Now, this molten impure aluminum contains impurities. What are the impurities present in this one? What are the impurities means? Silicon, manganese, copper, etc. These impurities present in the molten impure aluminum. Okay. Now this is, we are taking this for electrolytic process. In this electrolytic process, what are the anodic and cathodic reactions takes place, that we will see. Now here AlF3 is there, BaF2 is there, NaF is there. This NaF we can write it as NaF is there. That NaF we can write it as ionic nature. It is ionic, therefore it is existing as Na plus ions and F minus ions. Then here BaF2 is there in the middle layer, that is ionic, that we can write it as Ba2 plus and F minus ions. Then here AlF3 is there in the middle layer, that we can write it as AlF3 we can write it as Al3 plus ions and F minus ions. Now in the molten mixture, in this middle layer NaF, BaF2, AlF3 are ionic. We have written them in the ionized state. Now in this anion is F minus. That F minus goes to where, in the sense this carbon anode. That F minus goes to this carbon anode. Okay, F minus comes to this carbon anode, undergoes oxidation. That means it is losing electron and becomes what, in the sense fluorine atom. Fluorine atom combines with another fluorine atom and becomes what, in the sense of fluorine molecule, which is gas. So at this anode, at this carbon anode, fluorine is liberated, fluorine is obtained. This fluorine is highly reactive, therefore it will react with this molten elements. In the molten state, elements are there, with them it is reacting. This fluorine is reacting mainly with which one, in the sense with this aluminum. Therefore this fluorine is reacting with in this molten state aluminum and makes aluminum as AlF3. AlF3 density is coinciding with this one, not with this one. Therefore this AlF3 goes to this middle layer. Therefore what happens means F minus from here comes to this place. F minus from here comes to this place. Why? Because NaF is having more ionic nature when compared to BaF2 and AlF3. So F minus mainly comes from this one to this anode. That becomes F2 at this anode. That F2 converts this aluminum into AlF3. That AlF3 automatically goes to middle layer, because AlF3 density is coinciding with this one, not with this one. AlF3 density is lesser than this one. Therefore AlF3 goes to middle layer. That means in this molten state, aluminum is there. That this aluminum goes to middle layer as AlF3. Therefore in this bottom layer, the quantity getting reduced. As soon as it is reducing, you add molten impure aluminum in this place. Therefore we can raise the quantity here. Now at this place, what is happening? Anodic process takes place, means automatically cathodic process should take place. So which can go to cathode? We will see. What are the ions present? We will see. Cathode means cation will go. isn't it? So one is Na plus, next barium, next aluminum ion. Out of these three, which can easily undergo reduction, that we'll see. Now what are the ions are there? Na plus, barium ion, aluminum ion. Out of these three, aluminum ion can go for reduction easily when compared to barium ion and sodium ion. Therefore aluminum ion goes to cathode for reduction. Okay, therefore from here what is going in the sense, this aluminum ion is going to this cathode cell. So which is going to cathode in the sense, aluminum ion goes to cathode. Therefore at cathode aluminum ion has reached. Aluminum ion takes 3 electrons from cathode and becomes aluminum. That aluminum deposits here. Therefore here quantity getting raised. Here molten aluminum quantity getting raised. That means we have converted this impure aluminum into pure aluminum. We have converted this impure aluminum into pure aluminum. We can say this method name is called Opes method. This is electrolysis. It is used for purifying crude aluminum. Next, we will go for physical properties of aluminum. We can see aluminum is a bright silvery white metal. Its tensile strength is high. It has high electrical conductivity. It has high thermal conductivity. You can see that electric cables, that means electricity board, outside cables you can see that electricity board cables that is made up of aluminum, because that has high electrical conductivity, therefore that is used. That has high tensile strength. Tensile strength means it is having more strength, it is not breaking easily. Therefore that in the electric cables aluminum is used. It is having high thermal conductivity. So for cooking and all, for cooking cooking vessels, if you see, that is made up of aluminum. For aluminum vessels will be used for cooking, because that has high thermal conductivity. Next, chemical properties of aluminum we'll see. Aluminum chemical properties. Aluminum burns with air on heating. With air on heating, it is burning. Aluminum takes oxygen and becomes what? See, aluminum becomes Al3 plus, undergoes oxidation. Oxygen undergoes reduction and becomes O2 minus, cross multiply, you will get aluminum oxide. Then aluminum takes nitrogen from air and becomes, aluminum undergoes oxidation and becomes aluminum ion. Nitrogen undergoes reduction and becomes N3 minus. It is called aluminum nitride. We will get. We got aluminum nitride. Next, pure aluminum with cold water, no reaction. Pure aluminum with cold water, no reaction. Then aluminum with boiling water, we'll see. Aluminum with boiling water, we'll see. This aluminum becomes Al3 plus. That Al3 plus takes OH minus from water and becomes AlOH thrice. In the water, what is remaining means H plus. It is undergoing reduction and gives what means hydrogen gas. So aluminum with boiling water gives aluminum hydroxide and hydrogen gas, you can see. Then aluminum with dilute HCl, we'll see. Aluminum with dilute HCl. Aluminum with dilute HCl, what is the reaction, we'll see. Aluminum is converting into Al3 plus. That Al3 plus takes Cl minus and becomes what in the sense AlCl3. In HCl, what is the remaining means H plus. That H plus undergoes reduction and becomes what means hydrogen gas. Next, aluminum reacting with the concentrated HCl. Aluminum reacting with the concentrated HCl. Aluminum becomes Al3 plus. Here Cl minus is there. Therefore, we are getting aluminum chloride. Here H plus is there. That H plus undergoes reduction and gives hydrogen gas. So with the dilute HCl reaction, with con HCl reaction remains same. But what is the difference in the sense rate of reaction? Here rate of reaction is low, here rate of reaction is high. That is the difference. Then aluminum with concentrated sulfuric acid, that we will see. Aluminum with con sulfuric acid, what is the reaction? Now aluminum with the con sulfuric acid, what happens means Aluminum undergoes oxidation and becomes aluminum ion. In the sulfuric acid formula H2SO4, in that sulfur is +6. This +6 sulfur becomes +4 sulfur, that is sulfur dioxide. Sulfur undergoes reduction and becomes sulfur dioxide. Aluminum with corn sulfuric acid, what is the reaction means? Aluminum undergoes oxidation and becomes aluminum ion. Sulfur +6 oxidation number becomes +4 oxidation number, that is sulfur dioxide. This aluminum ion takes sulfate. Aluminum ion takes sulfate and becomes what in the sense? Aluminum sulfate. Al2SO4 thrice. So let us balance this equation. We'll write a balanced equation. Aluminum plus corn sulfuric acid. Corn sulfuric acid. Aluminum undergoes oxidation and becomes aluminum ion. Aluminum ion takes sulfate and becomes aluminum sulfate. Aluminum sulfate formula Al2SO4 thrice. Sulfur undergoes reduction and becomes sulfur dioxide. Then for balancing, we will write water molecules. Okay, it is the balanced equation. Then aluminum with the corn nitric acid. Aluminum with the corn nitric acid, what happens? Here it is passive. Aluminum is passive with the corn nitric acid. Why? Because what happens here? Surface aluminum reacting with the corn nitric acid. Corn nitric acid is the oxidizing agent that gives nascent oxygen. So surface aluminum becomes alumina. This alumina is insoluble. Therefore, what happens means corn nitric acid unable to go to bulk aluminum. So bulk aluminum is not in contact with corn nitric acid. So bulk aluminum is unable to get nascent oxygen. So bulk aluminum means inside aluminum atom. This bulk aluminum is not getting oxygen, therefore it is not converting into Al2O3, therefore it is not undergoing reaction. Therefore, we can say aluminum is passive in corn nitric acid. That means in the aluminum vessel, we can store corn nitric acid. In the aluminum vessel, if we store corn nitric acid, the surface aluminum atoms alone become Al2O3. That becomes insoluble layer, that is protective layer. Therefore, bulk aluminum atoms will not be affected by corn nitric acid. Next, aluminum with sodium hydroxide, we'll see what is the reaction. Aluminum will take, sodium hydroxide solution will take, and we will boil the contents. What happens? We'll see. Aluminum is converting into Al3+. Here hydrogen is +1. That hydrogen +1 converting into what in the sense? Hydrogen gas. Aluminum is undergoing oxidation and becomes aluminum ion. Here hydrogen is +1 oxidation number that undergoes reduction and becomes hydrogen gas. It is a reaction. So aluminum with the sodium hydroxide, remember that aluminum is undergoing oxidation and becomes aluminum ion. Hydrogen undergoing reduction and becomes hydrogen gas. This mainly you remember. Remaining thing we can write it by one. Okay, this aluminum ion will remain as oxysalt. Why it is oxysalt? Because aluminum ion, here sodium hydroxide solution. Aluminum ion will undergo hydrolysis or not? Yes. Hydrolysis means it will take what? OH minus from water. By taking OH minus, it will become what? Aluminum hydroxide. Aluminum hydroxide is amphoteric, isn't it? Yes. Aluminum hydroxide amphoteric, therefore it will react with what? Sodium hydroxide, because it is strong base. The aluminum hydroxide reacting with the sodium hydroxide to give what? Salt. That salt is called oxysalt. Okay, so we will get oxysalt here. Okay, sir, what is that oxysalt? Oxysalt means you write first oxoanion. First you write oxoanion. This oxoanion should contain what? This aluminum should be there, and oxygen should be there. Okay, you keep the number of oxygen such that net charge is negative. Sir, net charge is negative, like that you have to keep. Okay, so aluminum ion we have taken, so we are taking oxygen 2 times. If we take oxygen 2 times, net charge becomes how much? -1, because for each oxygen -2. Therefore, this we can write it as AlO2 minus. It is called a meta-aluminate. This is called what in the sense? Meta-aluminate, we can say. What is the another possibility means? Aluminum ion, oxygen we will write 3 times. Now for each oxygen -2, so net charge is -3. This we can write it as AlO3 3 minus. It is called a aluminate. Now to balance this negative charge, you give sodium ion, therefore we will give Na plus, so we can write NaAlO2. Here also give sodium ion, therefore we can write Na3AlO3. Okay, it is sodium aluminate, it is sodium meta-aluminate. This is the oxy salt. Okay, we can write this one in the complex form also. This one we will write in the complex form also. How to write this one in the complex form, that we'll see. Now here aluminum ion is there. This aluminum ion takes a OH minus from sodium hydroxide, like this you take. Okay, one way writing oxy salt. Another way is this aluminum ion takes a OH minus from this sodium hydroxide, like this we have to consider. Okay, so that aluminum ion taking what means OH minus from the sodium hydroxide. That's what we said, it is in aluminum hydroxide. This aluminum hydroxide is what? Amphoteric. Therefore, it will react with which one? Sodium hydroxide. So it is reacting with the sodium hydroxide. So sodium hydroxide we have written. This aluminum hydroxide takes OH minus from sodium hydroxide. How? That we'll see. So aluminum hydroxide we can write like this. Aluminum comes under group number 3A. This has 3 electrons in the valence shell. All the 3 electrons have gone for bonding. Aluminum comes under third period. Third period means it is having 3s, 3p, 3d orbitals. It is having vacant orbital. So aluminum is having vacant orbital. This OH minus will take. OH minus contains a negative charge at the oxygen. Oxygen is having 3 lone pairs. Now what happens means this oxygen is contributing lone pair to this aluminum. Therefore, this aluminum becomes what you see. This Al, here OH, here OH, here OH. This it is making dative bond with aluminum. That dative bond will write it as a normal covalent bond. It is acceptor, negative charge. It is donor, positive charge. Already minus is there. Therefore, net charge becomes 0. So we are getting AlOH 4 times minus. This we can write it as a AlOH 4 times minus. We can write. To balance this negative charge, Na plus is there. Like this also we can write. This aluminum is coming under third period. Therefore, this valence shell contains 3s, 3p and 3d. Therefore, it can provide even 3 vacant orbitals. That means it can go for coordination with 3 OH minus ions. Therefore, we will get AlOH 6 times 3 minus. This is also possible. Okay. Therefore, what we will get in the sense Na3AlOH 6 times 3 minus. This we will get. This is nothing but this one. This is nothing but this one. Okay, the sodium meta-aluminate in complex form is this one, NaAlOH 4 times. Na3AlO3 sodium aluminate in complex form is Na3AlOH 6 times. Okay, therefore aluminum with sodium hydroxide solution boiling means how to write equation means we can write in any form. You can use NaAlO2, Na3AlO3, this complex form or this complex form, anything you can consider. But what you have to remember, in the aluminum with the sodium hydroxide solution boiling means aluminum is undergoing oxidation and becomes aluminum ion. In the sodium hydroxide, hydrogen is H plus that undergoes reduction and becomes hydrogen gas. It is the main. This aluminum ion we can write in the form of NaLO2, Na3LO3, NaLOH 4 times, Na3LOH 6 times. In any form you can write it. As per that you balance it. Sir, we will take in one form and we will balance this. Okay. Now aluminum we are taking, sodium hydroxide we are taking, and for balancing now sodium hydroxide we have taken, then water molecules for balancing. Suppose I am taking aluminum in the form of what, in the sense like this complex, then hydrogen gas we are getting. Okay, therefore now this aluminum metal boiling with the sodium hydroxide solution gives what, in the sense hydrogen gas. We will get aluminum ion. At this place we need not write always this one only. We said 4 possibilities. Out of 4 possibilities you can take any one, you can take. Here I have taken this one and we have balanced this one. Okay, how to balance, in the sense you know that oxidation number method, off reaction method, that method is there. No, as per that you have to balance this one because it is a redox reaction. Sorry. Next, aluminum is heated with halogen. Aluminum is heated with halogen. It is giving what we'll see. Aluminum undergoes oxidation and becomes aluminum ion. Halogen undergoes reduction and becomes halide. Cross multiply, you will get AlX3. Aluminum trihalide you will get. Next, aluminum acts as a reducing agent. Therefore, where we can use this one, this aluminum, that we'll see. Aluminum is used for what in the sense? For a welding purpose it is used. Welding in the sense we are not using aluminum, we are using aluminum in order to get molten iron. That molten iron will be used for a welding. So what is the reaction that we'll see? We'll take a Fe2O3. Fe2O3 will take ferric oxide. To this we will add aluminum. What happens means ferric oxide becomes Fe, aluminum becomes Al2O3. Aluminum is undergoing oxidation and becomes aluminum ion. Ferric undergoes reduction. Fe undergoes reduction and become iron. This iron is in molten state. This molten iron is used for welding. That is filling the gaps. If any empty gap is there, means that gap will be filled with this molten iron. Then it is converting Cr2O3 into chromium. It is converting Mn3O4 into Mn. Mn3O4 into Mn. Where and all it is used in the sense, suppose if the big machines are there, inside any part any holes are created, that hole should be closed by molten metal in the sense, for that case this reaction will be used. Suppose if you want to molten chromium, you take Cr2O3, add aluminum, provide necessary temperature, this chromium, this is undergoing reduction and becomes molten chromium. We can use this molten chromium. Similarly, molten iron, molten manganese. For such a type of cases, this aluminum is used, we can say. Next, we'll see anhydrous aluminum chloride. We are taking anhydrous aluminum chloride we'll take. So we'll see about anhydrous aluminum chloride. It is undergoing hydrolysis in the presence of moist air. Okay, when it is exposed to moist air, it is undergoing hydrolysis. How that hydrolysis will be there, we'll see. AlCl3 with water. What happens, we'll see. Aluminum ion, this aluminum ion takes OH minus ion and becomes aluminum hydroxide. This H plus and Cl minus becomes what in the sense HCl. Okay, aluminum chloride with moisture. It is moisture in the sense present in the atmospheric air. Aluminum chloride on exposure to atmospheric air, it is taking moisture and becomes what in the sense aluminum hydroxide and HCl vapors. Because of HCl vapors, we will see the fumes, we will see. HCl fumes we can see. Then this aluminum chloride exists in the form of what? We will see at 460 Kelvin. At 460 Kelvin, aluminum chloride exists in the form of dimer. Aluminum chloride exists in the form of dimer. This dimer formula is Al2Cl6. At 460 Kelvin, aluminum chloride exists in the form of dimer, that is Al2Cl6. Above 1020 Kelvin, aluminum chloride exists in the form of monomer. Aluminum chloride exists in the form of monomer. Above 1020 Kelvin, aluminum chloride exists in the form of monomer. Then, how this dimeric structure will be there, that we will see. Now, aluminum chloride will take AlCl3. AlCl3 we are taking. Another AlCl3 we are taking. This aluminum is having vacant orbital. We know aluminum is having vacant orbital. It is having lone pair. Between them, dative bond is possible. It is having lone pair, it is having vacant orbital, therefore dative bond is possible. Now, how the angles, how the bond length, that and all will be there, that we'll see here. This bond angle is this bond length is 206 picometer. This bond length is 206 picometer. This bond length is 221 picometer. 221 picometer. Why? Because chlorine is providing electron cloud to this aluminum as well as to this aluminum. Therefore, this electron density is less. Therefore, bond length is high. Here, chlorine is providing electron cloud with this aluminum only. Therefore, bond density, electron density is more. Therefore, bond length is low. Next, we will see the bond angle. We will see the bond angle is here. This bond angle is how much? Means 79 degree. And this bond angle we will see here, bond angle 118 degree. Here bond angle is 79 degree. Here bond angle is 118 degree. Why? That we'll see. Here bond angle is less. Why? Because here bond length is more. Electron cloud density is less. Density is less means repulsion is less. Repulsion between these two electron clouds less. Therefore, the bonds coming closer, so that bond angle is less. Here, this bond length is less. Electron cloud density is more. Therefore, repulsion between these bonds is more. Therefore, bonds are moving far away. Therefore, bond angle is high here. Okay. Next, aluminum chloride in the gaseous state act as covalent. Aluminum chloride in the gaseous state act as covalent, but aluminum chloride in the aqueous solution act as ionic. So we are saying that aluminum chloride aqueous solution is ionic. Aluminum chloride in gaseous state is covalent. Okay, that we will see. Aluminum chloride is covalent compound because aluminum ion Al3 plus and Cl minus, between them covalent nature is there. Covalent nature is dominating. Okay. Why it is ionic in the sense? Because of hydration. This aluminum ion undergoes hydration with the water molecules. Therefore, it is existing in the form of hydrated aluminum ions. Cl minus undergoes hydration and existing in the form of Cl minus aqueous. So, aluminum chloride on dissolving in water, it exists in the form of aluminum ions and chloride ions. Hydrated aluminum ions, hydrated chloride ions are possible. That indicates aluminum chloride aqueous solution is ionic. So remember that aluminum chloride gas is covalent, but aluminum chloride aqueous is ionic, we can say. Next, we will go for alums. We are going for alums. What is alums? We will see. Alums in the sense, general formula for alums is X2SO4, Y2SO4 thrice, dot 24H2. This X in the sense monovalent cation. This monovalent cation, what is possible in the sense sodium we can take, potassium we can take, rubidium, cesium, and ammonium ions. Next, Y is called a trivalent cation. Y is called a trivalent cation. That in that place, what can come in the sense aluminum ion, manganese 3 plus, chromium 3 plus, then Fe3 plus. Like this will come. Okay. Now we will take in the place of X, we will take K plus. K plus, if we take K2SO4, we can take. In the place of Y, we will take aluminum ion. Therefore, we can say Al2SO4 thrice, Al2SO4 thrice dot 24H2. This is called a potash alum. This one is called what in the sense? Potash alum, we can say. Next, we will take in the place of X, we will take potassium. In the place of Y, we will take chromium. In the place of Y, we are taking chromium. This is called what in the sense? Chrome alum. This is called chrome alum. This is what in the sense? Chrome alum, we can say. In the place of X, we will take ammonium ion. Therefore, NH4 twice SO4. In the place of Y, we can take a ferric ion. Therefore, we can say Fe2SO4 thrice dot 24H2. This is called what in the sense? Ferric alum. This is called ferric alum. Ferric alum, we can say. Now, in the alkali metals, in this sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium is there. Lithium ion is not given. Why? Because lithium ion is not forming alum. Why lithium ion is not forming alum? What is the reason? That we have to see. Okay. So actually, this alum is a simple. This is one salt. It is one salt. That means it is nothing but a double salt. Is it in a simple salt manner or complex form manner? How it is existing? That we'll see. Now, this monovalent cation with water, it is existing in the form of complex. So here water molecules making a coordination bond like this. So X plus is making coordination bond with water molecules. How many water molecules? Means 6 water molecules. So in the alum, X plus is there, monovalent cation. That monovalent cation is making 6 dative bonds with the 6 water molecules and exist in the form of complex. So X H2O 6 times plus. And the trivalent cation is what means Y. This Y is in dative bond with the water molecules. How many water molecules? Means 6 water molecules. Therefore, this Y is making 6 coordinate bonds with the 6 water molecules and exist in the form of complex like this. Then sulfate ion is there. Now, how many X is there? 2 times.